Welcome back. Schools are a primary source of instruction for most families. We depend on schools to provide the academic, social, and even emotional supports and skills for our students. While most schools do their very best, it is unrealistic to think they can address all students' needs. Sometimes, supplemental help is needed. Finding the right supplemental educational options for your child can be tricky. No worries. We are here to help. Let's take a look at some ways to ensure we select the right supplemental educational options for your child. Welcome back. All right, so let's jump right into supplemental education options. So we're going to look at an overview and a purpose, some of the key traits and strategies we can use in identifying these options, the benefits, some examples, and some keys to remember. All right, so what are supplemental education options? So what is supplemental education? You're talking about tutoring services, enrichment programs, STEM and coding clubs, arts, music, sports programs, online learning platforms, mentorship, and college prep programs. So it's anything outside of the traditional school setting that provides support to the student in whatever area they feel they want to explore. So what's the purpose of them? They reinforce classroom learning. So they may not have the same curriculum as, the public school, but they focus on the same skills when you're talking about academically. It helps close academic gaps because not only are they receiving the instruction, day to day in the classroom, but now they're getting additional practice and maybe some individualized support. It builds confidence and independence. It supports gifted learners because a lot of times they're not challenged in the classroom. It is what it is. We identify some of our lower achievers for special education, but identifying gifted students is not as prevalent as it once was. So having a supplemental program outside can help, keep them engaged as well. You have structured after school environments, and it provides, as we mentioned, individualized supports because now you're targeting a specific skill or subject matter that the student needs support in. So some of the key traits of effective programs, they have qualified instructors. And let me clarify this for a second. That doesn't mean that they have certified teachers. There's a difference between qualified instructors and certified teachers, right? Certified teachers, that's what you traditionally find in the classroom. But qualified instructors for supplemental programs, the qualifications are based on that program. So I know, for example, you may have a tutoring franchise and they're high schoolers working in that tutoring program, right? They're qualified. They're qualified because the owner of that program has trained them, keeps them abreast, boom, boom, boom. It doesn't mean that they have teaching certificates. I'm not paying for some high schoolers. You will be surprised at how qualified high school students can serve as not only models and coaches, but can actually relate, build rapport, and get a lot out of your students. Okay, so when you talk about qualified instructors, make sure they're qualified for that program, not necessarily, for the school. Okay, small group or individualized supports is another key trait. They have clear learning goals. They have interactive activities. It's a positive learning environment. It shouldn't be a situation where it's repetitive of the school in the sense that it's someplace the kids don't want to be. No, they don't want to go after school for a program, but at least the program, is inviting. There's a lot to do. People know who I am. It's positive. It's not like a dungeon, right? And then there's progress tracking. So types of supplemental options, you have leadership and mentorship programs, music and performing arts, coding and robotics, homework help centers, and academic tutoring. And there's a distinction between the homework help and academic tutoring. Like I mentioned before, sometimes academic tutoring has its own curricula. So they're not going to follow exactly what they're doing in school. That's okay because the skill sets should mimic what students are going to learn in school anyway, and it'll eventually bridge together. Homework help centers, they specifically say, okay, what is it you're doing in class? Let me help you with it. At the academic tutoring, you may not get that type of support. The program may be locked in where, hey, we can only help you with the materials that we provide, and that's okay. Okay. I did mention athletics because athletics is very prominent, and those are everywhere, right? We're talking about some nuanced supplemental programs that can help out your student. So what are some considerations for parents? So as a parent, we're sitting there and we're saying, okay, my child needs help, right? Or I want to get my child involved in something. So I could be looking at it as an enrichment or, remediation type program. So the first thing I want to do is, what are the needs of my student? Is it enrichment? Is it remediation? Are they falling behind? Do I just want to get them like 2-3 grade levels ahead? I need to figure out what's the right fit for my student. Oh, my student doesn't like to sit still, so I don't want to put him in an environment that replicates school where he has to be still. I have to consider all of these things. Some other things you want to consider: the instructor qualifications. Now, remember we talked a second ago about qualified instructors, right? So you may be in a tutoring center where the students are high schoolers, but the owner, the manager, are qualified former teachers. I'm comfortable with that, right? Because they have an understanding of what needs to be done. Transportation and scheduling. Do I have the means to keep a consistent schedule? They want me to come 3 times a week. I don't know if I can do that. Do I want to make that commitment? Because it's a big deal when it comes to that supplemental education of consistency. We can't just sporadically as parents drop them off here and there and expect a miracle. Okay. Cost and time commitment. Again, the cost, I'm going to invest in my child, but is this program really where I want to put my money? And how much time, is going to be needed in order for my child to see some success with this program? Also, what is needed for me at home? Because I know I'm taking them into you, but is there anything at home I need to be mindful of? And what is that time commitment as well? And then balance versus burnout. Okay. This is very key. I've seen multiple times where in an attempt, a valid and genuine attempt to provide as many opportunities for their child as possible, parents have their child involved in all types of programs. So on Monday, we're going dancing. On Tuesday, you have soccer. On Thursday, you have enrichment. On Friday, you have, and that can burn a child out. Okay. After 8 hours in school every day, and then another 3 or 4 hours, doing these supplemental programs after school, I can burn out. Okay. So we want to prioritize what supplemental education programs we involve our students in, because we don't want them to burn out. They should not feel like this is their career. Okay. They still need a chance to be children. They still need a chance to balance out life and relax. They should not have a schedule that looks like a CEO. So strategies for selecting the right program. So as a parent, I want to identify my students' strengths and needs. I can ask my teacher for recommendations. That's the schoolhouse teacher. Research program outcomes. I can do that. Google makes it very simple. Start with the trial period. I'll say this: if the person or the program is not willing to give you a trial period, I would be leery. Because who would want, a full commitment and they're not sure if it's a right fit for the child? If you have concerns and you're like, well, can we try it out for a trial period? And they're like, no, either you're in or you're out. All right, well, make sure it's worth it. And then you want to also make sure that you monitor your students' engagement. Yeah, they may be all excited the first week, the second week, but make sure you're monitoring to make sure there's not signs of burnout or fatigue or disengagement or something else going on. So what are the benefits for home? You have improved homework routines. You have increased parent awareness of progress, because now you are involved, because typically you can be more involved in supplemental educational programs than you can be in the school building, just time-wise. You're more aware of the progress. You have more productive after-school structure. Now you're not like, oh, as soon as they finish school, they're on that screen forever. No, because now they have a good structure. And then they have reduced academic stress over time. So when they're involved in these programs, they're taking on new skills, they're remediating, or maybe they're enriching themselves. You have reduced academic stress because either they're catching up or they're getting ahead. The student benefits: you have improved grades and confidence, better study habits, stronger social skills, and greater independence and motivation. And then, as always, we have the impact on achievement. You have higher classroom participation, again, because either I'm already being enriched outside of this school building or I'm being remediated. So now I'm willing to participate because I have the efficacy and believe I actually know what I'm talking about, right? Improved attendance and engagement, greater college and career readiness, and reduced learning loss. All right, so what are some supplemental education examples? So again, we set it up elementary, middle, high, but they are interchangeable. You have reading clubs, math enrichment, STEM exploration programs, art, music programs, social skills. Subject-specific tutoring, coding and robotics, leadership organization, career exploration, advanced tutoring programs for high schoolers, college readiness workshops, internship opportunities, SAT, ACT prep. Okay, so these examples here are just generic in the sense that you can take any one of these categories as a parent and look them up for your respective area and see what's available in your particular area. So there are online supplemental learning options as well. You have virtual tutoring, educational apps, language learning programs. The online platform can offer you flexible scheduling and personalized pacing. So some are asynchronous and some are synchronous. As a parent, you can utilize your online research in order to determine what's best for you. Wyaznt, WYANZT.com is a good platform to search online learning tutoring for your student. It would allow you to do personal or in-person or online. I apologize. In-person or online tutoring, and it's kind of like Angie's List. You type in exactly what you're looking for, what type of support you're looking for, content area, how much you're trying to pay, and they produce a list of tutors in your available area. So we talked about it before. We talked about the making sure that students have a balance and that they're not overloaded. So some of the warning signs of students being overloaded with too many activities: increased stress or anxiety, lack of sleep, declining motivation, and limited family or social time. You know, when they don't have an opportunity at any time because their schedule is so packed that they can't spend time with family or socialize. And it doesn't count if, oh yeah, well, I put his brother in there too. No, that's not what we're talking about. They need separation of what's work and what's play, right? And that social time and that family time is important, just as important as the academics. So you want to build a positive, supportive learning partnership. You have regular communication with both the in-school instructor as well as the supplemental instructor. You have shared academic goals. The student has a voice in the decisions. No, this is not, whether you're going to get tutoring or not. You may give the student a voice in which tutoring service they want to utilize, which tutor they want to work with. If you're going with the independent tutor, give them a voice in the process, because if you don't, you're going to be paying a lot of money and you're not going to get a whole lot of production. Okay. And then you celebrate growth as they move along. So some keys to remember: every child has unique learning needs. You want to keep that in mind as you select these services. You want to balance academic growth with wellness. Consistency matters more than intensity. You want to remain consistent. Make sure that whatever program you select, you can do it consistently. It's not a hit or miss, and it's a waste of time. And communication is essential. So before we close out, I want to give a couple of, if you will, brand names that you can consider. Code Ninjas, Sylvan Learning Center, Kumon Learning Centers, Mathnasiums, I-Level, and Huntington Learning Services or Learning Centers are all viable options. There are other ones that have popped up in recent years. However, these are some of the tried and true. They've been around for a while, and you can see their track records. So, final reflection, some questions you want to ask yourself as a parent as you explore these supplemental educational options. What support would benefit your child most? How can you maintain balance? And which opportunities align with your students' goals? So before you even start going online and looking for programs, ask yourself these questions, use that as your guiding light, and then start exploring, and hopefully you'll find the right match for your child. We hope that was helpful. Remember, getting additional help for your child may be an additional cost, but they are definitely worth the investment. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See you next time.